Officials in Cape Town are hoping for an end to the crippling taxi strike there today. Thousands of commuters have been stranded after industry bosses parked their vehicles on Thursday. Drivers are angry about the city introducing new bylaws which could see their vehicles being impounded for traffic infringements instead of being fined. Several cars have been torched since the strike began, with buses overloaded and chaotic scenes playing out in the CBD. The city has condemned the violence that's associated with the stay away and says it's now working to put the brakes on the strike as soon as possible. An announcement, in fact, to that effect is expected sometime today. To get you a sense of what else we know at this stage, Western Cape's Mobility MEC is Ricardo Mackenzie. He joins us now via our video link for more. MEC, great to see you once again. Thanks so much indeed for making time. Let's begin there. Are you confident of some kind of outcome to the talks that have been ongoing since yesterday, sometime today?
Yes, thank you very much, and thank you for having me. Yes, I am confident. I just got home as well. Negotiations has been ongoing until late last night. I spoke to the Secretary General this morning. They have a meeting at 11 o'clock this morning, and we hope there's a positive outcome from that meeting, because we need to get the minibus taxi industry back on the road, because people need to get to work urgently. Yeah.
When can commuters, who I'm sure you can imagine are anxious about tomorrow, expect that announcement from you and other stakeholders?
We hope that it will be done after 1 o'clock, but as I say, the minibus taxi industry are going in another round of meetings at 11 o'clock this morning with their members, and once they've agreed to what proposed, we will then be able to communicate. At this stage, the announcement is not final. They first have to table the discussions we had with their members, and once they've agreed with their members on the way forward, they'll inform us after that meeting at 11 o'clock this morning.
Sure, and I'm sure the way forward will be much clearer on the other side of that announcement, but contingency plans surely must be something worth your consideration as well. If things don't go as planned past that 1 o'clock time this afternoon, what's the advice from the city about how Monday should unfold, frankly?
If things don't go as planned at that meeting today, which we are hopeful it will, if it doesn't go on plan, the Golden Arrow My City buses are running as scheduled, or 90% of service. As you can imagine, there are certain areas that are difficult to get into, but they are making a provision for additional services to avoid what we've seen last week, Thursday in Cape Town, the scenes that you were referring to. Yeah. So they are making announcements. They're getting in additional fleets to try and avoid what we've seen last week, Thursday.
You know, from many of the commuters who are left stranded, part of what they were able to tell us is difficult for them is that the fares through those buses versus how much they'd be paying for taxis are quite difficult for them. The margin is something they're not able to cover. What then becomes, I suppose, the appeal, especially to businesses who are expecting their workers to be at their post tomorrow, given the fact that some people, quite frankly, might not be able to afford their bus fares?
We ask businesses, given the taxi strike that has been widely reported, everyone should know about this by now. We communicate on a daily basis to please be lenient with your staff members. Taxi fare, as you know, are the cheapest mode of transport. The trains, as you know, it has completely collapsed in the Western Cape and in the rest of the country. So the minibus taxi are the biggest transporter of people at the moment. So we ask businesses to please be lenient because staff members are struggling to get to work. The minibus taxi industry in the Western Cape is 16,000 strong. So when they go on a strike or withdrawal of services, it has a massive impact on people getting to work and services getting to communities such as clinics and hospitals. So we ask businesses to please be extremely lenient with your staff given the circumstances.
Yeah, loud and clear. What we've also seen are reports that Uber drivers and other e-hailing operators are being intimidated as part of the strike. What do you know about that? And if, in fact, there is credence to those reports, what kind of assistance can they get?
Yes, we have seen intimidation, including last night we saw private cars being stoned and burned. We saw 7 different vehicles from 7 different government departments here in Cape Town being stoned and torched. It is unacceptable. We urge the leadership, I spoke to them yesterday, please call your members to order, because we have seen a taxi was arrested yesterday, and in the vehicle of that taxi, there were arson equipment, there were tires. So there was clearly an intent of that taxi driver yesterday to do something bad. And I appreciate our SAPs and our colleagues has done their job in arresting this individual, and I hope they will be charged. but we are giving support. As you can imagine, the buses do take first preference because they carry the large amount of commuters at the moment. So where Uber drivers feel intimidated, they have our 021-488 number that they can call in case of emergencies, but our support are for our buses, escorting buses, because they do carry the majority of commuters in the city, as you can imagine.
Yeah, Santaco actually did release a statement, I think it was yesterday, condemning any violence associated with what's going on in the strike. I wonder if you feel that goes far enough. And I ask this question, by the way, not knowing what else the association can do.
Yes, we have seen that statement. In fact, we urged them to issue that statement yesterday morning. We have seen that statement. But like I said, a taxi was arrested yesterday with equipment of arson in it. The police investigation will determine whether it's a member or not of Santaco. But we urge them to, because they are meeting with the regional chairpersons, that they need to do more. Santaco's got an extremely wide range of members across the province. A simple WhatsApp to those members will spread far wider than a media statement because they have an extremely strong reach. So they should communicate with the members on the hour to say, guys, please refrain, don't intimidate. If you know of any taxi driver or sliding door operator or gachi that is doing that, please ask them to withdraw. Because if you withdraw your services, you should not be on the road. So there's more that they can and should be doing, because they have a strong reach across the Western Cape. They've got incredible reach, and they should do more, communicate with the members on the hour, get off the road if you withdraw your services, don't intimidate anyone. Please ask the sliding door operators or your gachis to stay away, because they did withdraw their services. So it needs to be full, and the members should not be involved in any action.
Yeah, ABC, I know you need to be careful about how much you share, given the delicacy of the situation, especially when it comes to the negotiations that are underway. But are you able to at least tell us where the sticking issues are? For instance, the taxi associations have been very vocal about what it is they have an issue with. It's to do with the impounding of their vehicles. Yeah. Is the city able to tell us where you're able to make concessions and where, quite frankly, you're not willing to negotiate?
The issue is around impoundments, as you said. That is one of the biggest issues, and it's around interpretation of the NLTA. And that is the big issue that we went through Friday night, including with our colleagues from the National Department of Transport, who also gave their interpretation of the NLTA. And that is what we communicated to them yesterday around those matters. They have then wrote back to us last night, and we then responded to their concerns as to how we can address those concerns, including a review team with our colleagues in the National Department of Transport to look at the definition and interpretation of what is in the NLTA, particularly on impoundments. So those are the matters that they need to take back to the members. I don't want to get too much in the technicality, because it's not fair for the rest of the chairpersons to find out via the media what is contained in those final letters. It's fair that they find out at that meeting at 11 o'clock this morning what is our latest written discussions around getting these members on board and getting the strike resolved urgently so that services can resume.
All right, Ricardo, Mackenzie, thanks very much indeed for your time once again. Really do appreciate it. Ricardo is the MEC for Mobility in the Western Cape.